All right, what's up, guys? We got this 2014 JK that came to us from California. It already had some serious work done to it. It has a full Evo double throwdown kit. This already came to us with an LS conversion in it, and he was just looking to do a little cleanup work, and we added some more power to this one. It has an LS3 in it already, 6L80 transmission, Atlas transfer case, Dynatrac Pro Rock 60 and Pro Rock 80. So we ended up going with our custom grind camshaft on this LS3. We also gave it a set of upgraded push rods. We swapped out the timing set for a C5R timing chain. And then we did a set of Cook's headers with a dual stainless 3-inch exhaust. We're also running a set of MagnaFlow catalytic converters in there to keep down with the exhaust smell. And then they tie into a 3.5-inch MagnaFlow muffler. So it'll have a pretty deep tone to it. Won't be too loud in the cabin on the highway. We also swapped in a 2800 stall converter to give it a little more pep with the camshaft, bring the RPMs up a little bit, and then we swapped out the accessory drive. This one had a JK adapted accessory drive, which is all right, but the alternator can be a little lacking under heavy use, so we ended up setting it up with a GM style 240 amp alternator and then a PSC Motorsports LS3 power steering pump kit that actually works on the stock cylinder head. We also will be replacing all the power steering lines with high pressure stainless on the pressure side, and then we swap all the low side lines to abrasion resistant AN fittings. We also topped off the motor with a fast EFI 102 millimeter intake to open up the top end a little bit more. This JK also came to us with some severe abuse from the trail. So for instance, the coilover mounts had moved a little bit from being pushed just from use. So we ended up welding doubler plates on those to the sides of the coil towers, give it a little bit better chance against bending and some more reinforcement. We also touched up any of the brackets that weren't able to be fully welded with the body on when the kit was installed. So we cleaned all those up, finished off those areas, and welded them up. We also swapped out the body mounts to an energy suspension kit. This kit's actually not too bad. It's pretty decently priced, and when you already have the body off, it only takes about 30 minutes to swap them all out. The factory JK rubber mounts aren't very strong, and even under light impacts can bend or move. And so these ones are urethane, and they're a 2-piece mount. You pretty much just unbolt the stock ones, and as you can see, these ones are actually kind of bent in just from this one seeing so much trail use. And this is the energy suspension one, and it's actually pretty easy to assemble and disassemble. If you do need pieces of it, you can get them separately, but it's just something that's really easy to do. And considering most of our builds get the body taken off and everything's looked over, it's something most customers we just do it while it's there. We also addressed the engine and transmission mounts on this build because it came to us with a set of bolt-in LS conversion mounts, which there's nothing really wrong with them. It makes it easy for someone to install this kit at home if they were to, but under severe abuse they can be compromised because they won't hold up. You can see that this one has been reinforced and welded to keep the bolts in, and it's starting to buckle in the sides. You can also see where this mount has rubbed on the engine block from it sagging down in there. So we replaced it with a set of our urethane in-house built mounts. These ones don't move at all. They transmit very little vibration, and you can get them in and out if you do need to pull the motor out. We also swapped out his oil pan. It came to us with a center sump, typical GM pan that comes on these crate motors. We use a rear sump mast fan that has integrated oil cooler lines because this motor will be getting our oil cooler kit that mounts up in front of the radiator. We also redid the transmission mount. This transmission mount that was used in this build is an OE rubber style, which has quite a bit of movement if you are moving down a really pretty rough road. So we replaced that as well with the urethane mount. It still allows free movement of the transmission if you have to remove it. It's pretty easy to line back up, but it restricts the movement much more than the rubber mount does. We also installed our transmission cooler kit that fits the Evo suspensions. We run a Citrab transmission cooler that sports 3 fans. It is tucked up out of the way so there's no risk of damage if you're on the trail. It keeps transmission temperatures anywhere from 180 to 200 degrees, even under heavy use. This one's going to be wired directly to the ignition, but we do have an option to run a temperature sensor where the fans will come on and off based on, it's a 180 degree thermostat, so anything under 180 the fans will be off. We will also be swapping this to our radiator package that runs a SPAL high output PWM fan, which is temperature controlled through our harness. We removed the harness that came in with this vehicle because he was having issues with voltage draw. The layout of the harness wasn't very good, so our harnesses are heat shrunk OEM GM connectors. Very simple. We install them on the engines before the bodies goes back on, so we can route all the wiring properly. And then we'll be tying it back into his engine bay once the body gets on this vehicle later this week. But realistically, we do a lot of cleanup work as we do one-off builds. There's a lot of people that already have a lot invested in their Jeeps, and they're just looking to clean up some stuff, whether it's been to several shops or they've done work themselves. We entertain all of it, and I just want to make sure that when this Jeep leaves here, I've given that customer the option to address any concerns they have or anything that they were unaware of once the body comes off. There aren't a lot of shops that remove the bodies for repair work or installs, and it's relatively not hard to do on a JK. Obviously it requires a lift, but it is the most efficient way I feel to work on them, because you have a great layout for wiring and plumbing, and you can make sure that you can get to everything before the body goes on. But like I said, it's not within the realm of everyone's ability to do so. So this JK will probably be wrapped up, and we'll be going to the dyno here soon. The camshaft that's in this is a milder one. It still uses the stock valve springs for the LS3. This one actually had the blue performance springs that come in the LS3s, so it'll give you probably a 60 horse bump in power, matched with the intake and the exhaust. It'll definitely be woken up from what it was, and we'll probably cut back to this once we get the harness on it so we can show you guys how we lay it out. But other than that, this thing will be a night and day difference once it leaves, and I'm sure the customer will be stoked to get it once he gets to drive around the block. So for that, that ends this segment. We'll be cutting back later with more on our GenRight Elite build, and we also have another double throwdown Hemi build that's in the shop that we'll be going over as soon as we get the heads back from the machine shop. It came in for some cleanup work as well, and we found quite a few things that we needed to fix that were done by the previous shops that worked on it, but it'll be tip-top shape by the time it leaves here. So until next time, guys, see ya.